Kokushibo the Upper Moon 1 towers over the kneeling Kaigaku begging for mercy. Kaigaku recalls his past, remarking that it was not shameful to kneel before a strong opponent. He believes that as long as he remains alive, it would all work out in the end. It does not matter if dirt is rubbed in his face, he is forced to drink dirty water, or people curse him for stealing money. What mattered was that he was alive, and that someday he would succeed. Kokushibo tells Kaigaku to become a demon if he wants more power, and if Muzan accepts him, it will take time to become a powerful one, a process that is longer the stronger a person is. Kokushibo himself took 3 days to transform. Additionally, to counteract the effects of total concentration, much blood must be drunk, and rarely does a person's body does not allow them to become a demon. Kokushibo tells the demon slayer to be grateful for the blood he received, threatening to behead him should he spill a drop. He remembers the intense fear he felt as he put the blood into his mouth, as if his cells were screaming and crying. Compared to that, facing Zenitsu is absolutely nothing. Even though he has gotten stronger, he will not be able to beat him as he is a upper moon. He believes Zenitsu remains a worthless coward, crying without dignity or perseverance. He recalls when Jigoro had offered to make them both his successors, and curses his former trainer for comparing him to his junior. As he angrily declares that they both deserve to die, Kaigaku uses thunder breathing, second form, rice spirit, attacking Zenitsu with 5 consecutive slashes and injuring his face. Zenitsu remarks that with the consecutive attacks, Kaigaku has already eaten many victims, believing he can't tell good from evil anymore. Kaigaku says that he knows what's right and wrong as he uses thunder breathing third form, buzzing mosquito thunder to envelope Zenitsu in black lightning, burning him. He continues saying that those who judge him correctly and accept him are right and everyone else is wrong. Using fifth form, heat lightning, Kaigaku slashes and burns Zenitsu simultaneously, who gets a glimpse of his training with Kaigaku and Jigoro, asking if he enjoys his blade infused with his blood demon art, before attacking him again with sixth form, electric lighting shower, wounding Zenitsu all throughout his body. Kaigaku gloats that with his immense power both burning and slashing him, he has become a demon to surpass thunder breathing. As Zenitsu falls, with the demon remarking he is special unlike him, he recalls Jigoro's lesson to use Kaigaku as an example. Zenitsu recalls other demon slayers making fun of Kaigaku, saying that he is unable to use the first form, which is the foundation thunder breathing revolves around, yet he acts all high and mighty and won't be a Hashira and probably just die. Zenitsu punches the person making fun of Kaigaku, but upon knowing this, he recalls that even when Kaigaku couldn't care less, as he arrogantly dismisses Zenitsu's action, telling him to not cause trouble and calling him an embarrassment. He understands why Kaigaku hates him, but despite also returning the sentiment, he still respected Kaigaku for his hard work. To him and Jigoro, Kaigaku was a special person, yet none of it satisfied him. He compares Kaigaku's heart to a box with a hole that held his happiness. Despite whatever went in, it could never fill up. Apologizing to Jigoro for the two of them taking different paths, he uprights his body and plants his feet along the wall to stop his descent. As Kaigaku watches with surprise, Zenitsu apologizes to him and attacks with thunder breathing, 7th form, Honoikazuchi no Kami, instantly decapitating upper rank 6. As he plummets, Kaigaku tries to comprehend what had just happened, unable to see the rapid attack. He curses Jigoro for favoring Zenitsu by teaching him an exclusive form, but Zenitsu denies their trainer was such a person. This form is of his creation, one he had hoped to use to fight alongside him. As both continue to fall in the Infinity Castle to their deaths, Zenitsu plummets while unconscious as the disintegrating Kaigaku grows furious at his defeat by Zenitsu's hand, furious that the one he believed to be weaker than himself had managed to create a 7th form. He comforts himself with the idea that he too will die with him when he hits the bottom. Suddenly, Yushiro enters Kaigaku's vision, telling him that those who never give anything will one day never gain from others, and that only wanting is the same as having nothing when they cannot create for others, before coldly telling the fallen upper rank that it is pitiful to die alone. Yushiro leaps across the walls and catches the unconscious Zenitsu, while the fallen upper rank disintegrates to ash, marking a pathetic end to the prideful and traitorous demon slayer. Zenitsu wakes up to see himself in a field of red spider lilies. He sees his master Jigoro across a river, separating the two. He apologizes to him for never getting along with Kaigaku despite his attempts to reach out, believing if it wasn't for him, Kaigaku wouldn't have turned into a demon. He apologizes for never repaying his debts, and adds that he truly wanted to become a Hashira whilst he was alive. However, Jigoro remains silent, and Zenitsu, believing he still hates him, asks for his trainer to say something to him. Suddenly, the lilies begin to wrap around his feet, pulling him into the ground. Watching as he sinks lower, Jigoro tearfully informs his former student, Zenitsu, I'm proud of you, causing him to tear up as well. In reality, Zenitsu awakens to Yushiro patching his wounds, surrounded and guarded by more Demon Slayer. Murata, who recognizes him, asks about his condition and whether he can be saved. Annoyed by his yelling and begging, Yushiro only tells him to keep on guard. Murata does not take kindly to his orders, becomes furious and yells at Yushiro asking him his rank, but the demon ignores him while using a styptic to stop Zenitsu's bleeding, though he notes that the cuts on his face might worsen. Murata scolds him for being so negative and not to say such scary things to a weak man, and comforts Zenitsu as the others tell him he will be saved as well. Yushiro remarks Zenitsu was lucky that Kaigaku had not mastered his techniques, saying he could have killed him had he progressed in a year. Murata and the rest start screaming, trying to keep Zenitsu positive and to ignore Yushiro's pessimism, but his screaming draws the attention of several demons. Yushiro, the only demon to not be created by Muzan, recalls when Tamayo had told him to act naturally as he assisted the demon slayers, though his dissatisfaction was plainly written on his face. After changing his eye color and donning a uniform, the others did not suspect Yushiro to be a demon, though they sensed that something was not right. Murata struggles to sever a demon's neck, causing Yushiro to demand he hasten his effort. He uses a Kasugai crow with his talisman to sense his surroundings, but grows concerned when something is nearby. As Tanjiro and Giyu continue through the castle, he notices they have not encountered any upper ranks, before wondering on the whereabouts of Muzan and the other Hashira. As he tries to tell himself they will succeed, the hallway they are in begins to shake violently as something approaches them. He wonders if it is a battle, but senses it is approaching them, recognizing its scent. Giyu warns him to stay back as the ceiling cracks open. Akaza lands down to face the two and taunts Tanjiro, surprised that someone as weak as him is still alive before lunging at Tanjiro while yelling his name. Angered to see Akaza, Tanjiro dodges and in return yells out his name, ready to fight upper rank 3. Elsewhere, hovering above a bottomless shaft, Tamayo finds herself trapped in a fleshy cocoon. Noticing it is able to decompose the human conversion, she realizes it will absorb her as well in enough time and pleads for someone to save her. While mapping out the floor plan for the Infinity Castle, Kanata begins to envision the recently deceased members of her family. Her emotions begin to overwhelm and her eyes well up with tears, but Kiria tells her to stop crying and continue with her task, reassuring her that they will win. Kanata acknowledges his orders and recomposes herself to continue. Sitting outside the room of the Ubuyashikis are the former Hashiras Tengen Uzui and Shinjuro Rengoku. Tengen marvels at Kiria's mental fortitude, continuing his mission despite the lingering anguish of his father's death. Shinjuro agrees and is amazed that children so young have taken on an enormous responsibility. He promises to risk his life to protect them, as Kyojuro did, in order to no longer bring shame to his family name. Elsewhere in the estate, Sakonji tends to an unconscious Nezuko, despite using Tamayo's human conversion drug on her as told. She seems to be in pain, sweating profusely and groaning. He notes that if she truly can be human again, Muzan's scheme will fall apart, losing the only demon in 1,000 years to ever be resistant to sunlight. However, Sakonji himself is also trembling and sweating in his nervousness. Whenever he thinks about the battle's eventual endgame, he grows anxious to realize the ancient war of humans and demons might soon end, something he never thought he would live to witness. He reminisces on Tanjiro and realizes he had always played a pivotal part. Since bringing his sister to him, Sakonji had felt as if cogs had begun to turn. The ancient war is like a giant machine, and with the introduction of him and Nezuko, it is as if two added cogs have shifted the stagnant situation to begin moving. He hopes that the siblings will not lose. As Akaza throws a punch at Tanjiro, the Demon Slayer performs Hinokami Kagura, Fire Wheel, to flip over him and catch his arm with his blade. He summons the strength to slice it off, but Akaza regenerates it back and quickly retaliates by swinging his fist back at his head. Using Hinokami Kagura, Fake Rainbow, he evades the blow and appears behind the demon, while also managing to slash his face. Giyu is impressed to see Tanjiro has progressed his technique so much. As Akaza stares curiously at his attacker, Giyu remarks that he can confidently say his ability is now that of a Hashira's to be able to handle an upper rank. The day they first met, all Tanjiro could do was despair in his weakness and beg for Nezuko's life to be spared. But now, able to fight, Tanjiro won't ever again lose his life or his dignity. Akaza suddenly remembers Kyojuro's words, "This boy is not weak, do not insult him," and realizes now he was telling the truth. He says that Tanjiro is certainly no longer weak, and to show he has earned his respect, Upper Rank 3 performs Technique Development Compass Needle to celebrate his opponent's new strength in a battle. Using water breathing, third form, flowing dance, Giyu maneuvers around Akaza and evades his numerous attacks. Akaza remarks that it had been 50 years since he fought a water Hashira. The demon uses destructive death, disorder, to force him to retaliate, with Giyu using water breathing, 11th form, dead calm, to dispel the shockwaves. Akaza is impressed, having never seen the technique as the last water Hashira he had killed did not use it. Tanjiro attacks him from behind, using Hinokami Kagura, Raging Sun, to go for his neck. Akaza evades the slashes and appears behind him, attempting to chop off his head. He fails to perform Hinokami Kagura, fake rainbow, in time, but is saved when Giyu slashes off the upper rank's arm with water breathing. Second form, water wheel, though he regenerates the limb instantly. The two clash head on, attacking again from behind him. Tanjiro tries using Hinokami Kagura, flame dance, to cut down the demon, but Akaza uses destructive death, leg type, crown splitter, to fend him off. He blocks the attack with his sword, but the demon's leg grazes him, causing his nose to bleed from the sheer force. As Akaza evades Giyu's slashes, he marvels at his superb technique and demands to know his name, wishing to remember. Giyu refuses to tell his name to the demon and tells him he hates talking. The amused Akaza responds that he enjoys talking in battle and decides he will continually ask for it instead. Using destructive death, leg type, explosive flurry, Akaza kicks at Giyu in rapid succession and launches him away with his shockwaves. Despite blocking the attack with his sword's handle, Giyu is sent flying through numerous walls. Tanjiro attempts to call out to Giyu, but Akaza appears before him, satisfied to know Hashira's name. The Demon Slayer and Upper 3 clash, with Tanjiro performing Hinokami Kagura, Burning Bones, Summer Sun, and Akaza retaliating with destructive death, 8-layer Demon Core. The attack's vibrations ring loudly in his sword, but Tanjiro is able to escape the attack unharmed. Akaza compliments him for his growth and his training to reach his level. He commends Kyujuro for Tanjiro's success, recalling their first encounter when he was lying on the ground too weak to be noticed. But as of right now, he is happy and excited to battle him. He tells Tanjiro he is glad that Kyujuro is dead, believing he had already reached his peak because he valued being human. Upon hearing the demon's statement, Tanjiro becomes furious and demands he take back his words. Confused, Akaza responds he is praising the two of them, but Tanjiro retorts he is only insulting those he calls weak. The demon believes Tanjiro misunderstands him and states that he only despises the weak because it disgusts him. To him, it is the law of nature to weed out the weak. Tanjiro tells Akaza that him standing now is proof he is wrong. Everyone begins life as a baby, born weak and needing help from someone, including him. He states that the true law of nature is that the strong protect the weak, and the weak become stronger to help those less than them, telling Akaza his way of thinking is unforgivable. He declares his days of doing what he pleases are over, causing the demon to clench his fist in anger, ready to attack and shut Tanjiro up.